Well, welcome everybody to our GNU radio meeting. It's wonderful to see you all again, and thank you for making the time. Today we're just trying it on a Saturday night to see how people get on with that, because there was a request for that. And then towards the end we can have a chat about whether that was helpful or whether we want to move it back to a weeknight. So so tonight we are going to start a little bit of a program of sort of introduction to GNU Radio for anybody who doesn't know anything about it. And the person in this case who doesn't know anything about it is me, because I thought I'd better learn something about it if we're going to start running a group on it. And I've got to give credit where credit is due for this. Oops. So, I didn't write this book. I don't get any profit from any sales of it, but I've got to give credit to these guys who are David Clark and Paul Clark for this book called Practical SDR, at least for chapter 4, which is what today's sort of short talk is going to be based on. It's certainly, so far, I think it's an excellent book. And Ted mentioned that, or put into the chat, that there's actually currently a discount on it, so it might be something that you are that you're interested in following up. But that's where tonight's comes from anyway. I'd like to put my bit of paper, with my stuff on it. Here we are. So I did spend quite a bit of time preparing this, even if it's going to come across in a minute as though I didn't. So can I ask, of the people in the group, put your hand up if you've installed GNU Radio on the computer that you've got there and can work along with the exercises as we do it this evening. So we've got 1, we've got 2, 3, and Ted as well, so there's 4 of you. Okay, great. So the first thing I'd like you to do is to open up your GNU Radio. And I hope you've downloaded the resources that were sent out. There's one of them that we're going to need this evening. But if you start it up and basically let me know when you've got it working. If it's anything like mine, it seems to take several seconds before it actually starts. So I'm waiting for mine to come up. So remind ourselves, I know we've had a meeting already, but so this is a method for programming in Python by using pre-prepared blocks, which we can modify. Is also a possibility, which I know that Ted has done himself, where you can write new blocks in Python if you so desire. And I think what I will do is I will share my screen, and you can then work along to it. And for Adrian there, who hasn't got access to this, at least you can see what I'm doing here. So it's a method for writing the software part of software-defined radios. Clearly, as I see it anyway, I don't know whether this is the official definition or not, but a software-defined radio is the radio without all the screens and buttons at the front, which instead you use your computer to mimic instead. So this is the bit that we're going to. I told you this is really idiotic level. That probably isn't a correct definition, but it will do as far as I'm concerned. This is called GNU Radio Companion, which I hope you've all got. Have you all got that working now? Yeah, good. I'm glad. Great. So we're going to put together today, as a first task, an AM radio, or at least a very brief AM radio receiver. Okay. So the first thing you need to do, it comes up with a new screen ready for you to work. But just as let's say you already had an existing, what they call them, flow charts on the screen, and you wanted to not destroy the one that you had, but you wanted to set a brand new one up. Then if you just a couple of things for you to learn how to do that if you don't know how to do it. One is if you press Control N, that should bring up. Oh, this brings up a new message because it's doing it under. Unfortunately, got Teams running, so it doesn't work. If you haven't got Teams running, apparently Control N will bring you up a new flowchart. But another alternative is if you go to File, at the top left-hand corner, and then you press new, and then QTGUI. So that then gives you what now has got two flowcharts which are labelled untitled. So let's just get rid of one of those. We only want to keep one going. Close without saving, so we get that back. So now you should be back to the original flowchart that we had. You'll notice that on it it's set up a new blank screen, and at the top you've got two blocks or two squares, one of which is marked options and one of which is marked variable with sample rate, and these always come up with a new flowchart in GNU Radio Companion. And the one on the left hand side is just a block to tell you about your flowchart. It's not compulsory to put stuff in it, but we can have a go. So if you click on it, just double click on that particular block, and you will find that a pop-up window will come up. And on here you can then add in some bits to tell people what this flowchart's about if you so like to do so. So maybe I'll call mine AM receiver. I could have a title if I want. No title.
I think you have to have a title.
Do you have to have a title? Okay. But I think the automatic one, which I think works, but whatever. Okay, so something in there, then press apply and OK, and voila, it's now saying it's registering an error of some description. Okay, it doesn't like spaces. I put AM receiver with a space, doesn't like that. I think that does the trick. Yeah, got rid of that now. This is the thing about GNU Radio Companion. You find there's all sorts of little things that it's got that doesn't like, and it comes up, as you saw there, with goes red if it doesn't like something, and it tests as it goes on a sort of constant basis, completes testing it. Right. So what I'd like you to do, though, so first of all, say there's a variable there, and that's an example of a variable block, and we tend to use a lot of these in GNU Radio Companion, because you could, when you're using your radio, for example, set the frequency when you're doing it, but then that would just be a single frequency. But you may want to be able to change your frequency when you're actually using the radio that you've created, or listening to a different frequency or transmit on a different frequency. And so therefore you'd like the option to do so. So we use variables to set that up. And the one it gives you automatically is its sample rate. But you can create many of these particular variables and use them in what we do later. So what I want you to do now is to create another variable. And to do this, you notice that there's a search button up here on the right hand side, next door to just at the top right of the toolbar that's at the top of the screen. There's another way of doing this, which you can use. If you don't, you can either use that search button, or you can press Control F. And Control F, which is still working in spite of the fact we've got Teams going, when I do it, brings me onto the right hand side where you see there's a search menu, and now my cursor is blinking next door to the magnifying glass. Is there anybody who's not managed to achieve that? Okay, so you've got that. So what we want to do, and you might be interested in this, Ted, because on yours, I don't know if you knew about this one, we're going to put in QT-GUI entry. Well, that should work. Hang on, why is that not working? Why are we not getting it? Let's just try. There we are. Just try entry, and I've got QT-GUI entry. So we can either pull it onto the screen, or alternatively, you can just double click it, and it appears on the screen. So this is another block. In this case, another variable block. And I can now press on it, left click on it, and just hold the button down, and then I can drag it to a convenient location. I can stick it anywhere on the screen I want it, but it would make some sense to stick it where the other variables are. So you might wonder what the difference is between this type of block and the block next to it that says variable. Well, the difference is with a QT-GUI entry is that when I actually run the flowchart, it will actually give me a little box, and I can actually change the value of that variable on the fly as the flowchart is running. And it's the way that you generate basically options on your radio, change the frequency, change the volume, whatever else you want to do. If I double click on that, that Qt GUI entry box comes up. I can now change the whatever's in there. So I think what I will do on this is, first things first, I want to change the default value. I'm going to change that to 880E3. So I could write down 880,000 if I got the numbers ready, but then of course I might get the wrong number of zeros. But if I 880E3, that's the same as 880 times 10 to the power of 3. Some of the blocks will allow you to do that, some of them will not, and you find out they're not all completely consistent with each other. And I'm going to change this one to say frequency. Now, you probably noticed that when I'm changing that to say frequency, default value is now coming up as red. So it doesn't like the fact that on this particular block I've got default value as red. And the reason for that, sorry, as 880E3. And the reason for this is that if you look at the type of numbers this has got are integers, and these type of numbers with where you times them by 10, exponential numbers like, but it's not the right word. What's the right? I forget what the right number is for that. Word is that for that? Won't be accepted as integers, so you have to change it. I'll just double check. Get it right. I'm pretty sure it's complex numbers, but just be sure.
Can you use float?
Float is it? Float is it? Okay, yep. I have to check the right one. So when you click on that, the arrow next to it, you get a choice of the different types of data that you can have there. So we'll change it to float then, and you notice that that's now gone black again. So we're okay. So we can apply that. So that tells us that we have another variable called frequency. It starts off as 880,000. We know it's a float type number, which today we're not going to discuss what, at least I'm not going to discuss what the difference is. It may be at the end that Andrew there might want to comment on the difference between floats and complex numbers and all that type of stuff. But not something I fully understand, so he might be able to explain perhaps in a bit more detail later on. But for the time being, just bear in mind that it is a certain type of number that's going to be relevant to the way that we manage the data later on. So the next thing we want to second of those blocks. We could do the same thing again. We could pull a Qt GUI entry across, but another way of doing it, if you click on it and then you right click on it, you can then copy and you can right click and paste it, so that you can a quicker way. With a small block like this, it probably doesn't matter too much, but if you've got a complex block with lots of settings in it, it might be quite convenient to be able to just duplicate it. I think that one we'll call center frequency.
You can use Control-C, Control-V as well.
Can you? Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful. And perhaps we'll make that one 900E3. Thanks, Andrew. Much appreciated for that bit of information. Right. Okay, so we need a source of data. So now we're going to actually do the flow chart, or the main body of the flow chart itself. And essentially the way this works is you have a source of data, which could be put anywhere on the screen that you want, but for convenience it's usually put on the left hand side, and then you do some things to it, and the things in the middle that you do are essentially mathematical operations to whatever the data is of various types, and then at the end you have some method of displaying or saving the data, and there are various blocks that allow you to do that. So for this initial AM radio, we're not actually going to detect any radio through the airwaves. We're going to just use a file which comes in with the resources that I gave you. So remember the name of the file block, it's called file source. So here we are. So if you type file into the search box, and you will find that under core they've got file operators, and it says file description sync, file descriptor source, file meta sync, file meta source, then it says file sync, and then it says file source. So let's drag file source over here, put it at a convenient location, and if we click on that file source, we can actually now choose a file. So file, we've got three little dots. Let's cross on that. And I need to now find the resources that you downloaded before. And in that resources, where have I got it? This is where I can't find it. Chapter 4. So under that resources, there is this file here, which is called AM Broadcast 02C 900K S400K.IQ, which is basically a recording.
Andy, I think I may have failed to download that then. I thought I had, but I can't see that in my my list, unfortunately.
Do you want to have a go at downloading that now?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and think what it was. What was it called again?
I'm
just checking my downloads.
Trying to find.
It's probably my downloads, I presume.
It may well have been. I can find it now.
There's resources from Practical SDR website.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
That'd be it. Okay, I probably just haven't opened it. And there's the Mac OS X and Getting Started SDR main.
Yep.
Where do you think I should put those files?
We can put them wherever you want. It doesn't matter as long as you can access them.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I'll just bang on my desktop for now.
And in there, if I show you, if we go back to there, we've got resources, and then it's under chapters. So this is under chapter 4.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you've got the broadcast. I mean, at the end of the day, this is just a recording of a very short segment of an audio recording, really. It's deliberately so we don't need to worry initially about how we connect with SDRs to avoid us all having problems where we couldn't connect with SDRs in our various locations. So when you've got that, you just double click on that, and then the file sort of URL comes up there under file. This is a complex number, or it's a complex form of data. We'll just apply that and save it. Have you managed to do that?
I'm afraid I'm still... no, I haven't yet. 1 second.
It's okay, we're fine for time. How's everybody else doing? You managed to all get it to work? I'll assume somebody will say it.
Check it's there on the desktop.
Yeah.
So, got Mac OS X, Getting Started SDR main. Right, okay. So that. Sorry everybody for the hold up here.
Doesn't matter. You've managed to get the file source onto your desktop, have you?
Yes, I have. I've got that into my desktop. I've now got a frozen properties file source window for some reason. Let's try.
It's probably Teams.
I can't escape. Yeah, I can't cancel that or do anything. Why is it stuck? I think it's my GNU Radio Companion window that seems to have locked.
Yeah, it's happened to me before. You could just try File and set up a new one. File, New, Qt, GUI, and just start again.
I would if I could, Andy. My problem is that everything is stopped.
Oh, well, just just Control Alt Delete and just close it down.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's do that. So I'll go on Task Manager here. So I'll be closing down GNU Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a good link to have is the Task Manager if that's a Windows machine, and then you can individually close the specific program.
Yeah, I've got the Task Manager up now,
That's usually the best, the for sure way to getting that one stuck program. I get those all the time.
Have a little look, see if we can find it. Where is it?
I think I would say, although today this particular book, Practical SDR, is not important, it's probably going to become more relevant the further we go into it over the weeks. So it probably is worth everybody buying a copy and using that as their source textbook.
Okay. Well, I killed it anyway, so I'll just try and
just start
get
again.
it back up again.
It's okay. I mean, it's fine. This was inevitable.
Yeah.
Once you get as far as getting the file source sorted, the next lesson I'm going to tell you is how to actually save your GNU companion file so you don't have to start from scratch each time.
Okay.
Maybe I should have started earlier with that. Tell us when you're ready to go.
Okay, I'm booting up GNU. Radio Conda again now.
Yeah.
Just waiting for that to kick in. Okay, so I've now got Radio Conda. So it was go to find file, wasn't it? I think. Then you wanted, was it file source?
Yeah, you could dump file source in there, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Double click on that. Right, okay, so I've got that now. So double click on the three dots and should be in desktop. And I'm looking for...
So it's under chapter 4. I'll show you if I pull mine up again. It's so you got resources from the Practical SDR website, and then in there you've got chapter _404,
yeah,
and then you've got AM broadcast 02 blah blah blah. It's the one that's .iq.
Okay. Okay, it's the getting started folder. Okay. Right, okay, so file source, double click on that. Click on desktop. Getting started. Okay, so right, so I've now which chapter do I go into, Andy?
Chapter 4.
Chapter 4, okay. And I got AM broadcast and another protocol solutions. Which one was it again?
So it's again, just don't worry, it's fine. Don't worry on time. AM broadcast one .iq.
Okay. Okay. I'll click on open then.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, it's now there.
Yeah. Now you can OK that now.
Okay then. All right.
So that'll still show it as red because it's not connected to anything else. So there's an error, which is that the out bit on this is not connected to anything else. But before you continue, let's set up these extra variables again. So if you go to your search box at the right hand side, Control F or click on the magnifying glass, whichever you prefer. And so this time you want to type in entry.
Yeah.
And you've got QTGUI entry.
Yeah.
I need a couple of those. Drag 2 onto the desktop.
Yeah.
And then, as far as that's concerned, open one of them and change the type to float. I think it was, I remember right, I think it was integer before. Change it to float. And then you perhaps label that freq, F-R-E-Q, for frequency. Andrew, do you know if it matters whether there's capitals or not on these things?
No, it doesn't matter. As long as there's no spaces, you have to put underscores or whatever.
Yeah, so no
And
spaces.
I don't think it can start with a number. It has to start with a letter.
Okay, yeah. And the default value there, perhaps put 883. Or 880,000, whichever you prefer. Have you managed to do that?
Yep.
Okay, well, okay, that one. So we got one that's freak, and the second one, pull that one up, and this time you want to change it to float, and the ID you want to say center underscore frequency or underscore freak. If we're following the book, then it's probably worth spelling center the American way, CENTER underscore freak. And then the default value there, 900 E3.
And a quick question, Andrew. It doesn't require units like kilohertz or megahertz or whatever. How does it know that that's a frequency?
Well, it depends on how it's used later on in other blocks. This is just literally a floating number as far as it's concerned at the moment.
All right, great.
We're not defining but the other blocks will tell you whether they need hertz. And that's a really good point, because I've noticed already that some of them seem to work in kilohertz, some seem to work in megahertz, some work in hertz. There doesn't seem to be consistency. I suppose it depends who wrote the blocks originally. So you have to sort of explore each block. And I know when Ted and I have looked at it before with some of the stuff running, especially when we went on SDR Play and on the USRP B210, we were getting really confused with some of the ways that they were deciding on the units. But anyway, so have you? Has everyone managed to get this far now and got their center frequency as well?
Yep.
And then it's probably convenient. You don't have to. You can leave them wherever you want on the screen, but it's probably convenient to neatly put them all at the top or whatever you want to do with them. In which case you just left click on the block, hold your left mouse button down, and then just drag it across to wherever you fancy it to be and let go.
Crazy.
But it doesn't really matter in terms of running it later on. It could be any old place. So just to remind, I know we've got Tyson's just joined us. You're very welcome, Tyson. Nice to have you join us this evening. We're part of the way through it. Yeah, we're partly through a bit of a talk introduction to GNC Radio Companion and writing some programs, and we haven't gone very far. So at the moment we're setting up our first GNU Radio Companion flowchart. And all we've done so far is set up some variables at the top. And the two different types of variables, there's one that says variable, and there's one that says GT GUI entry. And you'll see in a little while the GUI entry ones are ones where you can actually change the number as the flowchart runs. And you'll see how that works in a bit. And just to say, Tyson, you've got some feedback when you speak. So I think your microphone's in a difficult position relative to your speakers, or your speakers need moving around or something.
Oh, is it better now?
That's much better.
Okay.
That's much
Thanks.
vastly improved, yeah. Okay, right, so what I suggest, because we already had one person crash out on this, which can happen with GNU Radio Companion, is you will go to File and do a Save As, and find somewhere convenient and save this save it somewhere. I'm going to give mine a name so that if you do crash out again, we can at least load up from where we've got to. And it might be worth making sure that you save it, which is just like anything in Windows, or this does work on Python very much, but a save as or a save would update it for you. Worth doing that on a regular basis. Okay, so once you've done that, we've had a saw. Sorry.
When you get to a state where you can actually run it, every time you run it, it saves it.
That I didn't know. That's very handy. Well, the actual GNU Radio Companion file.
Yeah, as soon as you hit the run button, it will save the current state.
So if you want an older version so you know what to go back to, then it's worth making sure you save some versions as you go along if you want something slightly different.
So what folder does that go into?
Wherever you fancy.
Oh, but okay.
Wherever you can access it and know where it is in the future.
Yeah, but Andrew was also saying that when you run it, it automatically saves it. And I'm just curious if you define what that folder is.
Would I right in saying, Andrew, that it's wherever you've got the flowchart from in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, it's the default directory it came from, or you saved it to. And when you hit the run button, it will save another copy on top of it. Overwrite it.
Right, so I'm going to here now just follow the suggestion of this book for creating this AM radio. I don't really understand why all these blocks are being used, and it doesn't tell us at this early stage why they're here. Maybe Andrew or Ted can a little bit later on explain them to us, or even in a minute they might want to explain to us. But I'll just tell you what to do as it goes along. I've tried it several times and it does seem to work at least. So what it recommends we have now is a signal source block. So if you go to your search again and type in signal source, and we create under waveform generators and drag one of those along, and perhaps put that underneath your file source or wherever you think looks good for you. And this is going to produce an infinitely repeating sequence of values in a sinusoid. So we open that right up. We want to make sure that it's complex, which it is. Its sample rate is fine, it's got the sample rate, same as the variable. It's a cosine, which is what we want. Its frequency, we'll come back to in a second now. The amplitude is 1, that's correct. All that's right. But when it comes to frequency, you want to change where it says 1000 there to say center frequency minus frequency. So this actually shows one thing that you can do in GNU radio, which is you can actually put mathematical expressions into these boxes rather than just either just a variable number on its own or just a number. But the type of data has to match between the blocks. So if you've got one block joining another, the data has to match between the two.
So is this generating a intermediate frequency?
I'm not exactly sure what it's doing. Maybe we can discuss that in a minute or two. But for the time being, let's just go with it for the second. So it's complex, sample rate, cosine, center frequency minus frequency. Has everybody managed to do that?
Yep. Yep.
And then we'll save that. And the next one we're going to do now is so if you look here, it says 20k under frequency under signal source now, and that's because the center frequency, which is 900k, minus the frequency, which is 880k, is 20k. So that's what it's showing us on there at the moment. This is going to generate. We now need a multiply block. So if you go back to our search button on the right hand side and type in multiply, and the first thing to notice is there's several different things with multiply in it. So we just want a straight multiply block. Drag that over. So on your multiply block, one thing you'll notice about these blocks is they have out and in written on them. So here a multiply, you've got in. It tends to be on the left hand side versus the right hand side. But to make your flowchart look better, if you want to, you can rotate it. So I could rotate that if I want, which might mean that my in is on the other side. But clearly out from the file source and signal source are going to have to go into the in on the multiply. And I just take an arrow and drag one from the one and join it up to the other. Like that. You can get rid of an arrow if you don't want it. By, first of all, let's get this in the right direction, this multiply block. Let's rotate it back again. Makes more sense. So I can drag it to some convenient location. I can get rid of an arrow if I don't want it by just clicking on the arrow and then pressing delete. And then if I was to take my arrow and put it on the other side, if I can get it go. Hang on.
It won't go.
It won't go. You're dead right. It won't. But sometimes you get it. I was going to show that. Sorry, I'm getting a bit mad here now. I was going to show that sometimes if you have got in the wrong place, it would show it would go red. The arrow would go red, but clearly it won't do it, as Andrew's just quite rightly pointed out. So you've got your two sources, both going to the multiply block, which is going to give us an output, which is clearly the multiplication of the two. And we're now going to add in a low pass filter as well. So we go up to our search engine and type in low pass and get ourselves a low pass, not FFT low pass, just straight low pass. And we'll drag that across there and put that on there as well. And if you double click on that, you can now set the cutoff frequency and the transition width. So the cutoff frequency on this should be 5E3 and the transition width, again, just so we're getting used to these E numbers, 1E3 on it. Also it's 1000 and 5000. And you notice that it now has the red bits have all gone black again, apart from general, because it's not connected to anything. Okay. Anybody who's had problems with that so far? No, so I'm going to OK that. And as you might guess, I'm going to join the two together. An arrow from the out of the multiply into the low pass filter, which is still showing red because its out is not connected to anything.
Another way of joining them, Andy, is that you can just click on the out and the in. So if you click once on the out and then click once on the in, they'll just join up.
Ah, there we are. Thank you, Andrew. I've learned something today. It says complex to complex decimating in terms of what it does with the data here, whatever that means. Okay, right. So we now need to we've got a modulated signal coming in from the AM, so we need to demodulate that. So we go up to our search engine now and we type in AM demod, and we've got our modulators here, so we can pull that one across, and on its channel rate we're going to make that into the sample rate from our variable. So rather than typing an actual number, we're going to put in the variable in there, and its audio decimation is 1. So press apply on that, and I will try clicking the 2. The other thing to notice on here is that you've got different colour in the little knobbles on the ends, whether they're outs or ins, and it's vitally important that the same colour out connects to the same colour in. And in the AM demod we have a change in colour of output, so that's going to be relevant for whatever else we do with it. If I go to advanced on there, documentation, I'm trying to see some further information, but I can't see it. But we're out to orange, which is going to be relevant. Right, now we need something called a rational resampler block. So type in rational, I want to get rational resampler. We're sort of running out of space in terms of on the same screen, so I'm going to shove it down here. On here it recommends that you change the interpolation to 32 and the decimation to 400. Right. But as I said to you before, you can't just connect that out to that in because they're the wrong colour. So if I try clicking on those two, I get a red arrow, which means that there's a problem, and the problem here is that the two colours are different from each other. And the reason for that is that they're using this has produced a different type of data from the data that this is currently using. So if I click on that, back on the rational resampler again, I can actually click on the arrow next to type of data and change it to float to float real taps. And that one then sorts out that arrow, which now becomes black. Another way of finding errors in the flowchart, it's worth saying, is it's on the fly where it shows you the colours, but you can also, up the top here, there's this this round black circle with a stop sign in the middle. If you click on that, it will tell you where there are currently errors in the flowchart. So it's telling us that the rational resampler is red because the port is not connected, the source out port is not connected, which is hardly a surprise to us, we know that. Now what we need to do is do something with our data. So far at the moment we have got our file source. We're using a signal source here to produce a constant signal. We're multiplying the two together, we're passing them through a low fat filter, we're demodulating them, we're doing this rational resampler, and what we now need is an audio sync, which is basically some speakers essentially, or connection to the speakers on your computer more accurately. So let's drag that down there. We've got the audio sync. And we can now connect the two together. Right, I may make a recommendation on the sample rate, that if you wanted to, you could change your sample rate, just as an example to show that how the variables work. So if before making any changes, if we look at the flow chart, we can see sample rate is 32 throughout all the flow charts, and if I now change that value to it recommends to 400,000, on the whole they all change, although we've got an interesting issue that the audio sync is now registering an error. Not quite sure why the audio sync doesn't like it. Oh, okay. I think it doesn't like the way that's with the E3 on it. It's the example of where you get some of them that don't like the way that maths is done. So if I just change it to 400,000, which is clearly the same thing, then audio sync is quite happy with that. So has everybody got that far? Nobody with problems? So we can now try running it.
Yep.
Yeah, try running it.
Good.
Just to say again, if you want to make it neater, if I right click on AMD mod there, because it's my arrow seems to be going in funny directions, I could do that so my arrows don't cross over the box if I want to. I could do the same thing here if I fancied, you know, wrong way around obviously. Other direction if I like, you know, I don't know, whatever. I can whatever you like about the way that the flow chart is set up. It doesn't really matter as far as the program's concerned. Then you can try pressing your flow chart, and on the left if I click that run button, which is the arrow, run arrow, then take it from me, having run that many times today, that beep 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 that you're hearing should be playing a little bit of audio, bit of radio signal, which does work. I think it's probably Teams here or feedback happening from somewhere that's causing problems, but it does work. Perhaps you'd like to try it your side.
I've got a problem, Andrew. So my run button is still greyed out. I've noticed that my options box in your top left is red. I suppose indicating there's a problem with it.
So when you double click on it,
it needs a file name, yeah. Or it needs a name.
I can see why. It's because I haven't got an underscore.
Yeah.
I've just got AM radio with no underscore. Okay, let's try that.
Yeah, it doesn't like spaces.
Yeah, and okay, brilliant, that solved it. So that option is no longer red, and I now have the play button. Perfect, thank you.
So have a go. I don't know whether this is going to work now that we're on Teams, in case Teams causes problems, as seems to be happening with myself. Ooh. But you never know, you might be able to even hear a bit of audio if you're lucky.
I've got a warning saying missing X term executable. The term executable X term is missing.
Oh, right. And which block is that in?
Good question. So it says this message is only shown only once.
Just ignore it.
Yeah.
So I'll OK that, and I'll go to my. What's wrong there? Because my flow graph errors is greyed out. Oh no, I think I'm good. I've got a ticking.
Are you getting a ticking sound as well?
I am, yes.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a ticking sound. It should be a bit of spoken audio, but I think it may be the team.
We need to change that number to 750K.
Which one's this?
To tune in a radio frequency.
We're
listening to static.
Oh right, yeah. The record that they've got is actually at 880K. It goes positive on that, so I don't know. I mean, maybe it might be the sample rate might be problematic. Let's put that back to the original 32K and see whether that helps. Oh, view errors. Oh, it doesn't like it. So it doesn't like the 3.
Not started yet.
Yep, this is working. It's very quiet. Change it back to 32K.
No. The top number there, frequency.
Yep.
Make it 750K.
Okay. 750K.
I think just like that. Yeah, try that. Better noises.
I can certainly hear the audio. It's very quiet, but I can hear it.
Oh,
There we are. Can you hear that?
I don't think we changed the center frequency. I forget. I'm looking here.
Got Michael Bublé coming through on mine. I don't know about the central frequency.
Good.
I'm not sure what that does. But
and so now, apparently, if you change it to a bunch of other numbers, you are tuning the AM dial. Apparently, 750, 710, 1000K, 950K, and 1090K are different radio stations you can listen for about 5 seconds on, and then it repeats.
all right.
It worked for me.
Hang on. Very good. What have I done it? I've managed.
The key here was the file contained all of the information as I and Q, and you can tune in whatever it recorded with your receiver, just like it was live. So that's fun.
Has everybody else managed to have success with that?
I'm afraid I don't. I can see in the bottom right-hand corner a box that says syntax error, invalid decimal literal.
And which box is red?
None of them, Ted.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got my errors button, the flow graph errors button's greyed out. When I execute the flow graph, that little bottom box blinks and throws up this, and it's talking about the 880K. Invalid decimal literal.
Right, yes. So what you have to do is go onto that one and just change it to 880,000.
Yes, of course. 880,000, yeah?
Yeah.
And that will be an integer value, whereas Andy has made it a float value, which gives them a little more flexibility.
Okay. Now I'm executing it. I can't hear anything. That maybe just my ears are shot.
What were those different frequencies that you... I found it very quiet on that default frequency of 880k. What other frequencies did you suggest there, Ted? Some of them are a lot louder.
750 or maybe 710.
Okay, let's try 710.
And of course, that's 1,000, whatever.
Yep.
So 710k, type in.
And I guess you can do that live, right?
Yes, you can. I've been doing it.
Now, in doing that, I've heard it. Oh yeah, I can hear something.
Well, that's one of the radio stations that was recorded. It recorded the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it works. Huh. Amazing.
Now, Andy, you asked how it works.
Yep.
But sorry, you don't get that in Chapter 4. That's like in 6 and 7 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So we have to read on.
I told you this was me being really basic, because that's as far as I've got.
We put in a signal source, and of course that's the local oscillator to choose your channels, or frequencies, pardon me.
So perhaps for idiots like me, can you explain how does that work then?
Well, in Chapter 6 and 7 or something like that, it talks about how you are mixing an incoming frequency. That's the incoming signal, which is all the frequencies mixed together. And if you multiply it, then you start doing heterodyning. And with your low-pass filter, you're choosing part of that heterodyne output. And then AMD code, I guess, has a... What, Andrew? A demodulator of kind of like a diode and things like that. And then a resampler has more to do with GNU radio until you finally get an audio sync, which puts it to the speaker. I haven't read Chapter 6 and 7 yet, but that's what I remember. we're on the very edge of my understandings.
It sounded very good there, Ted. I got to say, I was very impressed. Don't know about everybody else, but it sounded like you really knew what you're talking about.
Just speak with authority, right?
So, but you don't need an SDR source, or you have an SDR source?
The SDR source has already recorded some data file that has the I and the Q, meaning the real and the imaginary information off the airwaves. So that's not just amplitude, it's also phase information. So holy cow, now we're getting into Chapter 9. So yeah.
Wow.
But it's kind of neat that it was recorded in time and you can go back in time and play it again.
And you can just scan frequencies from that file source.
Yeah, and as I listed on page 79 of the PDF file that I bought, it talks about 750, 710, 1000, 950, and 1090. And sure enough, I heard things on those things. Those are all 1,000 hertz.
All right, so you bought the PDF version of Practical SDR, did you?
Yep, with the 42% off, it was about $19, so it worked out fine.
No, I've just got the paper one.
Oh, so it's not on the book.
It's in the book. I'm at just below figure 4 minus 18. On page 54, I guess it says. At the end of Chapter 4, it tells you, what to do.
Yeah, I'm waiting on my book. It'll get here on Wednesday. Thanks to slow Amazon.
Right, you're right. It is there. Yes, in the book. Absolutely. Yep.
Great. So those are the different stations, the radio stations when the IQ file was recorded.
Yeah, it talks about Kumu News coming up. So that's KUMO, which currently doesn't exist anymore. Apparently in 2019 it was sold, and so they had to change the call letters. But that's up in Seattle someplace.
Makes sense.
It's just worth saying. When I was young, I used to love a set of building blocks you could get in the UK called Lego, which is sort of Scandinavian thing. I don't know whether you can get those in North America.
Oh, they're worldwide.
They were Denmark.
We even have, in San Diego, we even have Legoland. You can go visit Legoland amusement park.
Well, I loved my Lego, and I look at this GNU Radio Companion here, and what I see are Lego blocks with the knobbly bits on the top of the Lego blocks, and they're conveniently in different colours, just like Lego bricks. So I can try just clipping different blocks together and see if I get anywhere. So if you look at my screen, if I'm still sharing, I believe, I will show you. I spent a fun bit of couple of hours earlier today to produce the Mark I AM receiver, which is here, and this one I've actually connected to an SDR, just a standard RTL SDR,